What's up, everybody? Welcome to the first show of the year, the first official show of the year. This is Breakfast with Dr. Kojo, and we're going to be talking about how to get your to-do list done without being overwhelmed. It's something that I call time buffers, and we're going to use my book to talk about it. So, this is the first official live stream where we get to use the book. So I'm excited, but before we do that, I want to start by saying that I'm very happy to be here, and this is a little blurb about me. So we normally start off by talking about where we're from, so I can see where everybody's checking in from, and then we'll go ahead and get started. So I'm extremely excited to be on here for the new year, and I'm ready to get it. But if you're not aware of this show or how it works, my name is Kojo. I'm checking in from what will probably be a very rainy day here in Los Angeles, California, but we're gonna make it, and we're gonna figure out how to be productive today and to do our thing. So we got Shin. Shin, what's going on? We got Josie from Arkansas. Josie, good morning. How are you doing? We got Chanel from Texas. We got Maddie. What's up, Maddie? Maddie checking in from YouTube. What's up, Maddie? Got Gabrielle from Arkansas. So okay, Arkansas is showing out this morning. Got Cheryl from Philippines. Kim from North Carolina. We got River from Oregon. Brown from Texas, Philippines, Atlanta, South Carolina, Tennessee, Missouri, Philadelphia, UK, San Fran, freezing Scotland. It's freezing here in LA, but I know it's nothing like over there. Good morning, good morning. Or it's probably the end of the day there, like the afternoon. Ontario, Cara from upstate New York, Atlanta, Georgia, Ivan from LinkedIn. What's up? We got LinkedIn love. Good morning, Jacqueline. It's great to see you as well. Not doing good. Ricky, sorry to hear that. And I'm going to be not only praying for you, but I'm also going to be rooting for you. Tamika, Detroit's nurse, okay. Missouri, Vanessa, Kentucky, Pennsylvania, Alabama in the house, Emily, Iowa. Then Josie says, cleaning house after divorce, haven't been home in 3 weeks. Very overwhelming. Much appreciated. Well, Josie, I'm sorry to hear that you're going through that. It's a rough way to start the new year, but I think we've talked about divorce before in the live stream. If not, we will talk about it this year. It's really hard to start your life all over again, but I'm rooting for you, and I hope you take it one day at a time, right? I hope you take it one day at a time. So today we're going to be talking about how to get your to-do list done without being overwhelmed, right? So one thing that I like to do when I'm, trying to get things done is first I figure out what's priority, right? And we'll talk about priority another day, but priorities are very important. But when you're doing things, there's a certain way to do things to help you do the rest of the things, right? To start somewhere and to be motivated to carry it on throughout the day, right? You don't want to, you don't want to play with your self-esteem and get disappointed throughout the day when things take you too long to do, right? So that's why I love the concept of time buffers. I love that concept because this has literally saved my life. Like when I have a lot of things to do, I've done that. And um, in my book, I have we'll go through it. But if you have the book, it's on page 50 and 51. But if you don't, I'm going to make sure that we can all do it collectively on this live stream. Let me read a few more Let me read a few more comments. Distraction. This is a good distraction. My son started driving and it's causing my anxiety to go through the flipping roof. This is something that will definitely make you anxious, right? When there's a new driver on the road, right? And driving is probably the most difficult thing or dangerous thing that we'll do every day, But John, I'm hoping that your son can keep it, keep his hands attended to and do his thing and not text, and learn how to be a safe driver, right? Shin, very, very sorry to hear that, Shin. I would keep you in my prayers, and you're doing the best that you can. What about when you're nesting and your list is huge because you want to do everything? Well, Chelsea, that's my problem too. I want to do everything and anything. So I've figured out a way to help me get things done without being so hard on myself. Because in a perfect world, I would love to do every single thing. I struggle with getting things done. Well, we're gonna work through it this morning. Morning, Leilani. I was late anyway, so I was a little late anyway. Morning. Sorry, cousin severe panic attacks while he was learning. Not easy. Joan, do not judge yourself for this. Like a lot of people, a lot of people have had this very same experience. I become overwhelmed because everything on my list seems like it's priority. Right. So, LaQuinta, this is also another issue of mine. Like, I'll make a to-do list, right? And I have like 7 things, and then I'll say that all 7 are priority, but I know that they're not. So I have to figure out if I don't get anything else done until tomorrow, where am I going to suffer the most from not doing? And that's how I figure out what's priority, right? It's kind of difficult because you have to pick something, right? All right, so if you have the book and you're on page 50, I feel like we're at church and we're reading the Bible, but if you have the book and you're on page 50, right? I'm gonna uh just read out what it says, right? In this activity, you'll recap your day. Think about the things you did today, the time you think it takes to complete each task, and how long it actually took. Reflect on how the task went and how it could have gone better. Some example tasks are provided for you here, right? So in the book, it's going to say task morning routine, right? So the example given in the book is the time I thought I would spend on my morning routine, right? It says 1 hour. Now, the actual time that was spent for me is 1 hour and 10 minutes, right? And then I have a little section that's called reflection where I can talk about, what happened, right? I spend a lot of time trying to get out of the house. I'm always running late, and it makes me feel stressed and unprepared for the day. Going forward, I'll collect my things the night before so they are ready to go in the morning, right? So now I've talked about how I can shorten that morning routine, right? And now we're gonna go to grocery shopping, right? I hate shopping, and I do my best to try and Instacart it or DoorDash, but I hate shopping and sometimes I never get the shopping done in time. But let me talk about it. So grocery shopping, right? The time I thought I would spend was 45 minutes, and the time that I actually spent was an hour, right? And then my reflection is the line is always so long if I go midday on a weekend. I plan as if I will just run in quickly, but it takes longer than I think it will. I need to add extra time if I go on a weekend, right? All right, so now let's think about 2 things that you've done last week, right? Right. And for myself, let me use myself. So what's something that I did last week that I normally do? Working out, right? So I'm gonna write this in the book. I'm gonna actually write it down on page 51, right? I'm gonna write down the task is working out, right? And if you don't have the book, you can go ahead and just write this on a sheet of paper, right? Just write this on a sheet of paper. So working out is a current task, right? The time that I thought I would spend working out was, let's say, 2 hours. Like I spent a lot of time in the gym. Like I spent a lot of time in the gym. That's my safe one of my safe places, right? And the time that I actually spent in the gym was 2.5 hours on average last week, right? So that extra 30 minutes, not accounting for that, that's gonna make me feel like I couldn't get things done in time, right? So my reflection is gonna be uh the gym was packed last week, right? It was the first week of the year and people were trying to come in and people were trying to, work on their bodies and things like that. So the gym was packed and I couldn't get to every machine that I wanted to get to in time, right? So the gym was packed. And I realized that if I don't come in early, it will take me a long time to get to each machine, right? And my handwriting is bad, but I can read what I'm saying, right? So with time buffers, working out for me took 2 hours, right? 2.5 hours, right? But I thought I would spend 2 hours. So now a quick way to flip this around for myself is all right, let's say I give myself 3 hours to work out every morning, right? It's a lot of time, but if I give myself 3 hours to work out every morning, right? And I finish in 2.5 hours, I'm going to be surprised as opposed to being disappointed. And that's going to be very helpful for my self esteem because now I'm attacking the day and I'm like, oh, wow, I have 30 more minutes that I didn't account for, right? So now to use it for you, let's say somebody in here. Let me find it. Who has it? All right. So Joan White. Let's say Joan is spending uh an hour every day, reviewing driving tips from her son. Okay. If this normally takes like an hour and a half, right? But Joan gives herself an hour to work through this with her son. She might feel like she's being rushed, right? And I'm not saying this is why the anxiety attacks are happening, but it's very nerve wracking to know that you have a child who's driving on the streets for the first time, right? So if you spend an hour with him every day, or let's say you spend an hour and a half, right? But you give yourself 2 hours to be with him and review the driving basics, which you may not be doing if he's already driving, right? But if you do this, it might make you feel a little bit better about this because you're going to be surprised instead of disappointed, right? Whenever especially for those of us with ADHD, we like to tackle things at the last second. So we always feel like we have more time than we think we have, right? So it's not until the very end that you get overwhelmed and you're like, oh, shoot, I actually don't have time and I'm actually running behind. And then you let the thing carry on to the next day. And then you feel bad about yourself, right? You know, Maggie says, I love this idea. Maggie, this idea has changed how I approach everything. And this is also a way to be kind to yourself, right? I always give myself more time than I think I will need, right? Because I'd rather be surprised than disappointed, right? Oh wow, I have an extra 45 minutes. Now I can take a nap. Now I can scroll on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok, or I can go outside, right? Or do whatever, as opposed to feeling like, oh, I don't have any time, you know? And I like what Leilani is saying here. FaceTime can also be a form of body doubling, right? And on our Discord server, right? The link is right there. The Discord server is a free server where everybody can come through and you can get to know other people and we can work through things together, right? So you can make friends in there and you can talk about things that you're going through, right? I think it's almost as good as a Facebook group, right? That targets like a certain thing that you're working on. So if you're a single mom or single dad, if you're a single parent and you're into thrifting and you have other single parents who are doing the same thing, you'll feel that sense of community, even though you might be in Nebraska and they're in California. All right. And let me see. Andy says, I don't do lists anymore. They don't get started. I just try and wing it since the list just reinforces my failing. So, Angel, I know what you mean because I've been there before where I get pissed off because I have a long list and then I don't do anything. And I'm like, oh, it's a reminder of how unproductive and how lazy I thought I was, right? But I don't use those words to describe myself anymore, right? We have to be kind to ourselves. But if you have a list and you can make a few things priority and give yourself more time than you think you need as you work through it, I think it can help with your self esteem. Sue says, love your videos. I'm in healthcare too. And so appreciate the education about ADHD, especially women as I'm one, and help break down stereotypes that have made me and probably others with ADHD feel like we're lazy and etc. We need more providers to be like this. Thank you for being you. Can't stick around live. Stress and follow up. Susie, I appreciate you. And look, if you're if you're at work right now, like don't get fired for watching this show. But I appreciate you. Thank you so much, Susie. Let me get to these comments. One thing that I always seem to get a complaint on is I'm too slow. I've heard it my entire life and can't seem to pick up the pace with everyone else. So I've actually I've heard this my whole life too. Like I remember being in second grade and I remember the kids would finish their test before me and I'd be the last one in the classroom and I'm like, dang, why am I the last kid? And this thing happened like throughout like my whole life, right? But what you can do is depending on what you're doing and where you're at, if you can give yourself a time buffer, right? If you can give yourself more time than usual to do a certain thing, it can make you feel better, right? So another example for me is when I was back in Virginia working at the forensic psych hospital, and I had to do notes. The notes take us a long time to do, right? So for those of us in healthcare, probably the worst part of our job is the notes. It's not the patients, it's the notes. So it would take me a long time to do my notes because I wanted to be detailed and I wanted to talk about the patient's mood and affect and then what medications they were on, what changes do we just a lot of work, right? So what I would do is I would come in like an hour and a half early to work, right? And I wasn't getting paid for these 90 minutes, but I still wanted to come into work like an hour and a half early. So I would do that and then I would have like a head start on everybody else. So when it got time to like submit my notes and doing my work, I was like a little bit early, right? But if I didn't come in an hour and a half early, I probably would have been playing the catch up game, which doesn't feel good at all. I hate the catch up game. What's the Discord? I relate. So the Discord is a Tyrese is an app, uh, but it does like more. It's not like a regular app, but it's an app where you can meet people and talk amongst each other. And there's like different channels in there where you could talk about certain things, and it's pretty cool because you meet people from all over the world. Actually, we have like 600 people in there. So I'm trying my best to grow this Discord and figure out how to provide value to other people. I have a friend who's a therapist, and she always worked on the do 5 things. I think that's awesome. Don't overload yourself, just 5 small things. I agree with that, right? But the issue with us sometimes is we want to get it all in one day. We want to get it all back in one day. I remember last week I was trying to ship off some books, and I tried to ship off like 120 books at the post office at the last second, and the lady was looking at me like I lost my mind. And she's like, "Oh, you can only get this many books in, blah blah." And I'm like, "All right, cool." Now I have to ride around, the city with all these books in my car, take it back home, and it was raining. But I'm like, "All right, let me ship out 25. I gotta come back the next day and do what I can, right?" And I have more books to ship out, but I had to be kind to myself because I hate having to like break things up into bits and pieces. Like I'd rather just do it all in one day, but that's just not how it worked out. So I had to do the best I could. So Maria says, I make lists and lose a dang thing. So Maria, this is what I do as well. And what I'm doing now to deal with this is uh, I'm creating a Google document where, all right, so for me, like I'll make like to-do lists or I'll start writing something and I'll forget where it was and I'll never get back to it. So to make it easy on myself, I'm making a Google document with all my ideas and my thoughts, right? And I'll have it on this computer, right? This is my Mac, and I'll have it on my laptop, and I will have it on my phone. My dad says, "Hey, just checking on you, dude. Bad weather in LA." 1 second, talk to my dad. Uh, yeah, hey dad. It's raining. Kind of hard here, but there's no flooding, so it's gonna be like last week. But I'm just going to the gym today and shipping off some books, and I'll come right back home. I won't really do too much. So, thank you for checking on me. Love you. I give it back to my dad. Sorry, but I'll make a Google document, right? And the Google Doc is on the iMac. It'll be on my phone. It'll be on my other computer. It'll be on my laptop, right? So that way, if I need to get to something, it's right there. Because what I'll do is I'll have like 7 Google documents. Like I'll start one on this computer, and I'll start one on my phone, and then I'll get like overwhelmed, right? So if you can have like one central place for everything, it could be helpful. Because Maria, if you're using a to-do list, right? Like this is one of my little notepads I got from Paramount, right? I write my ideas in here. Think big, possible over probable, get creative, and be weird, right? So I write things in here. But this is luckily like this right here is like it's small, right? Somebody gave me an idea about alcoholism and motherhood, so I wrote down that idea. But this I can take with me everywhere. But a lot of times I'll have like a little notepad here and a notepad there, and you'll get overwhelmed. So if you can figure out how to make it as easy as possible for yourself, I think that's gonna make you feel a lot better. I do this thing called wilding. Sometimes I would have to just allow myself to start several different things and work on them as I choose. They will all get done at some point. Lists can sometimes make my ADHD and anxiety worse. No, I like this. I'm gonna give Amy the first love of the show for the week, and I'll tell you why. All right, so this is important because look, if you never start something, you'll never finish it, right? And if you're sitting around and you're like, all right, I don't know how to do this or that, or I need to get these things done. If you just start doing things and you work on them as you get inspired, by the end of the day or the end of the week, you're so much further than you would be if you didn't start at all, right? So I like this thing. Like I've never really heard of this before, but I like it. Don't think that I would say, and you probably already do it, Amy, but you probably go off of priorities, right? If something is more important than the other, you might knock that out, and then work on other stuff. But sometimes with ADHD, this is just for me. I have to work on something that doesn't matter at all in order to give me inspiration to work on the thing that's priority, right? So today I got to ship off the books and get to the gym. Those are priority things, right? But I might catch myself watching football highlights, just to get me to do something. And then after that, when I get some motivation, I'm like, all right, let me do the thing that I know I have to do, right? So just one thing at a time. I like that, Av. Leilani says, keep it simple. Also, you don't have to get all the things done. Even small progress is a win. Yeah, keeping it simple is very important. It's extremely important, My brother and I, when we would work out back in Georgia when I was there, whenever I would take a break from work and I wanted to go back to the gym the very first day and run 4 miles. He's like, Kojo, relax. We can't do 4 miles in a day when we've been sitting on the couch for 3 weeks. Let's break it down. Let me take it step by step. Never thought about using Google Docs for a to-do list. Fantastic. Thanks. Hey, Maggie. I'm happy you like that. And this idea came to me last week. I think I was on the toilet or something, but I was like, hold up. And I'm going to try it out this week, and hopefully it works out. How I set boundaries with families, I explained to them why. All right, so we'll talk about this more in a different live stream, but Crystal, you just tell them, it's oversimplification, tell them how you feel, and tell them that, you're struggling to even have this conversation, but it's important for them to hear you out. And keep in mind that with family, boundaries are the hardest thing to do because you love your family and you don't want to disappoint them. And when you enforce boundaries, sometimes you lose people, and you may lose like quote unquote friends. But if you don't enforce boundaries, you put yourself at high risk for things like emotional abuse, gaslighting, neglect, and it just doesn't feel good at all. It feels really bad. First time tuning in, I had a question. If it's okay. Oh, it's okay. That's what this platform's for. I have a chronic illness that started 8 years ago. 7 figured out what yet testing. Most days I feel with pain and exhaustion. I feel very guilty that I can't get things done that I used to be able to. Getting what I can done leaves me exhausted and struggle to have those bonding moments with our daughter. What can I do to balance this life, and how do I deal with the guilt? All right, so Amber, real quick, um, I hope you get to the bottom of what's going on, because until you do, you may be searching for answers, and that can be really difficult. But one thing that can be helpful is if you can create a new normal for yourself, right? Like, 8 years ago, before you had this chronic illness, you're probably like productive like every single day, or for the majority of the days, right? You were like boom, 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 left, right. You were getting things done, right? But now that you have this chronic illness and it's 8 years later, it's going to be hard for you to operate at the same rate that you used to be able to do, right? So if you judge yourself based off of how you were 8 years ago, I don't think that's fair to yourself, right? Because like the chronic illness is like you're tired throughout the day, you're exhausted, and you're feeling guilty because you can't spend that much time with your daughter, right? So if you can just in a way accept that this is what's going on for the moment, right? We hope that things get better, but accept that this is going on and find a new normal, right? And that way you're operating at a different frequency, and you're not judging yourself for not being productive throughout the day, right? So whenever you have a small win, whenever you have the time to spend with your daughter and y'all have a great moment, you embrace that and you count it up as a small win, right? And you don't judge yourself and say, oh, Amber from 8 years ago would have spent 5 hours today. No, you got to spend 2 hours with your daughter on a certain day, and you have to take that as a win and stack up the wins over time. So hopefully that helps out. Oh, Kendra, how are you doing? Yeah, I know people are at work because it's like 9 o'clock on the East Coast. Yeah, almost 10 o'clock. Good morning. Good morning. I'm happy that you're able to stop in for a little second. I described to my husband that me wanting and actually doing the task are two separate things. Ooh, I like that. To put it in terms that he understands, I tell him it's like I have the knowledge to get a woodworking project done, but I don't have the tools to actually do it. Yeah, and that's something that all of us struggle with, right? Whether we have ADHD or not. Like, we all have $1 million ideas, right? But the idea doesn't really count. It's the execution of the thing. So sometimes it's helpful for people that we love to know that, hey, yeah, I want to do these things, or I know what I want to do, but for me to actually do it, it may never get from thought to action. So that way, if you don't do it, then they're not judging you for not doing it. Like they know that you had the intent, and maybe you'll get to it eventually, but you just couldn't get it done for you know at this particular time. I decided to go to uni at the age of 43. Congratulations! I was always talented but lazy. At uni, I got ADHD diagnosis and got steady skills advisor. We meet once, twice a week and create a plan for a week. It has made a huge difference, and I'm actually smashing the modules now. She makes a list for me, though. Oh, wow. That's another love of the show right there. It's helpful sometimes to have another person who helps you, like, plan stuff as you go through it. And even for me, like, that's what I do with my team. Like, I have somebody plan and help prioritize things for me, because this is why kids with ADHD do better than adults with ADHD, in my opinion, right? If you're a kid with ADHD and you have like a 504 plan, and you have a parent helping you out, you got a teacher helping you out, you have people who are like walking you through the thing. But when you become an adult, all of a sudden, like you have to just figure it out on your own, and it's kind of isolating. So having other people who really want to help you out goes a long way. Amber, I appreciate you. No problem. Let me ask the questions. I like the Q&A. Let's keep it going. How can I improve communication with an elderly person with strong ADHD presentations and super stubborn? So, Ita, I hope I'm saying it correctly. Or Ida. But what I would say is figure out. All right, this is kind of backwards, but what's the most annoying thing, or what's the most frustrating thing in this whole thing for you, and recognize that. So if it's them being stubborn and like talking over you, like let's say they talk over you all the time, the next time they talk over you, instead of being like, hey, why you always do that, take a step back and say, hey, I would appreciate it if you will allow me to finish talking, right? It's like you're almost going to anticipate what they do that really irritates you, because if you don't have time to think about this and prepare, when they do it, you're just going to be upset, and you're just going to go like, you might go from being here to being here to being here, and all of a sudden an argument can happen, and then you might go back and forth with words, and we don't really get far when it gets like that, So I'll probably say figure out what really irritates you when you're communicating with that person. Try to make a little bit of peace with that, but also you have to set some boundaries in place, right? Boundaries are good for all of us. All of us. All of us need boundaries and guidelines. And see, ways about people taking medication. I'm getting tired of doing it. So Ricky, well, I think I missed one of your comments up top. But what I would say is, please don't stop taking medications without talking to your doctor. Like I can't give medical advice when it comes to medications on here. Like I'm not legally allowed to do that. But don't stop taking any medication without talking to your doctor first. And like I don't know your situation. I can't speak on your situation, but some medications, like I'm thinking of what's it again, the TCAs, tricyclic antidepressants. Some medications can be like lethal and overdose. So sometimes, if you're worried about certain things happening, a doctor may not give you that, or they may give you like a medication like Prozac or Zoloft, which it may not be, to my knowledge, something like Prozac is not that pretty hard to overdose on that, but I mean, I just always respect, I respect what your doctor is telling you, and I'm just trying to rationalize why something like this would happen. But just nobody's don't stop taking your medications without talking to your doctor. And when it comes to the actual like medical advice about your meds, only listen to your doctor. Don't listen to anybody online. Nobody on TikTok. Nobody on Instagram. Not even me. Like it's your doctor, right? And Emma says, marriage can rock. I have a joint of pork roasting. It'll probably be 70% done by T, but can guarantee he'll put it together. All right, so this is also, I love the show. I like to see when people use teamwork to get things done. So I believe that if you're married to somebody, or if you're roommates with somebody, or you coexist with a certain group of people, it's helpful to have a plan to attack things, right? So I think marriage is really teamwork, and when you have that friendship there, where somebody has the other person's back. It makes you feel like you have to do it all by yourself. So this is really cool. What do I reply to? This is just another excuse to your laziness. So, Monica, it depends on who you're talking to. If this is somebody that you want to keep in your life, it's helpful to walk them through and say, hey, I have ADHD. This condition makes it hard for me to do certain things. It's not an excuse, but like I need more time. Just work with me. Boom, boom, boom. If it's somebody that you met on like an online forum, like on Reddit, I wouldn't go back and forth with them. Oh, it's your parents? All right. So if it's your parents, I think for me, it's worth talking to, my parents and saying, hey, like, I need more time to do this, or the doctor gave me this medication to help me with this and that. So this is why I do things the way that I do it, right? So you would want to keep your parents in your life, at least for me, right? All right, so let me see. We'll get some water. We're at the 30-minute mark, so it's time for a water break. And the water break is the time for us to take a pause and get some water in, right? And as somebody with ADHD, I often forget to drink water throughout the day. In fact, I should have had some water this morning. But normally what I do is I try and drink a whole bottle of water in the morning and keep like a jug with me so that way I stay hydrated throughout the day. But let me go grab water and then we'll do the water break. All right. So in the meantime, somebody can drop in the magic word. Oh, she already dropped it in. All right. 1 second. Get some water. All right, I got the water. Let's get it. All right. So it's time for water break. The magic word is cheers. And it's in the chat so we can proceed. Cheers. Water break always gets us refreshed. All right. So as we prepare for the day, I'm curious. I want to know what's everybody's plans for the day. What is everyone's plans for the day? And also, if you have a trash day on Tuesday tomorrow, just make sure to try and get the trash out, before it's too late. Let me read. Okay. Thank you for this. Testing my teammate. Shortly. All right. Let me see everybody's plans are. Emma says, I go on UK base so halfway through my chores. Emma, I appreciate that. And it's actually smart to do chores while watching this live stream. I hope you have a fantastic day, Emma. Monica says, do some research for my dissertation and bake a cheesecake. Oh, I like that. Do my chores as my timers go off. So everybody's being really productive today. I like that. Trying to find out how to homeschool my 13-year-old. Okay, I like that. I walked and phone calls. Okay, Michelle, I like that. Texas, what's going on? School starts back up tomorrow, helping my girl reorganize for the new semester. Okay, all good things. Plans, trash, paperwork, funeral. Sorry for your loss, Sarah. Taxing my child between 3 schools and the usual dad care, horse care, dog care. Oh, you got a busy day coming up, but I'm very confident that you'll do your best to get through it. I'm finishing my degree, so I have schoolwork. Okay, schoolwork. Sometimes we have to make that fun to get through schoolwork. I need to drink more water like you. I need to drink more water. I can tell you that. I'm focused on getting my son through his NWEA testing. It's a big anxiety for him, so I'm here for the support for him. Or trash mine on Discord. Yeah, actually, I see those reminders. I appreciate that, Leilani. All right, so for me, I'm gonna ship off the remaining books. Get to the gym, and figure out what skits I'm gonna do and what content to post next. And also and what in 15-20 minutes we go live here on TV in California, Southern California, ABC 7, for the Mental Health Monday segment. So we will be talking about mental health for Black males this morning on the news. And it's also a tribute to Twitch, who was a popular DJ here in LA. He was in the Ellen Show, and a mutual friend of mine on TikTok. He died by suicide last month. So we will be talking about how to raise mental health awareness for Black men and men in general. So it's kind of a difficult topic to talk about, but these conversations are what I kind of push for us to talk about. So that'll be on abc7.com. Let me drop that link in there for those of y'all who are not in California. So abc7.com is where you can watch the Mental Health Monday segment, which will be going on like maybe 20-30 minutes. And if not, I'll post a playback here, so don't worry about it. I know you have a lot to do throughout the day, so I'll post a playback. Michelle's in LA County. Michelle, I appreciate your attention. Thank you for tuning in, and thank you for being there for the Mental Health Monday segment. Let me read a couple of comments. Gemma, likewise, I appreciate you. The book, I think the link for the book is in my bio. I will double check. I'm not sure what is in the bio currently. Quell Williams, I appreciate you. Morning prayer and meditation before I start seeing my clients at 2 p.m. I'm a therapist too. Love it. That's a great way to start the day, especially when you're also a mental health professional. Vonzi, I appreciate this reading of that. Yes, ma'am. The book is on Amazon. But I want to say that the link is in my bio. Work then, we're celebrating a birthday for a very special gentleman I worked with for 4 years. Awesome. We're going to his grave to have pizza and buttercup, peanut butter cups to celebrate. Those are his favorites. Oh, that's what's up. That's awesome. Let's see what's up. All right, okay. All right, so I have to dip off and prepare for the segment on TV. I have to put my scrubs on, and I gotta go into Dr. Kojo mode. So I'm looking forward to that. And yes, we have to talk about a lot of you have to talk about suicide for veterans, suicide for healthcare workers. We have a lot of conversations to get to this year, so I'm excited to get to all those conversations. And this is a good comment to leave it at. So, Gemma, I appreciate you once again. I really do. And yeah, rest in peace to Twitch. And I'm thinking of not only his family and his wife and his kids, but all the people, including me, who loved him. So, all right, you all, I'm about to start the day. I will see you all on the next live stream tomorrow night, and then on Thursday once again. So until then, peace. Take care.